Okay, well, so I will show you how you can use Gemini 3 or even whatever other version of Gemini um, for free almost all the time. Yeah, when you use Gemini with gemini.google.com, like the popular or the mainstream web page, you are going to find this platform, the same platform that you find in ChatGPT, DeepSeek, etc. But yeah, Gemini is really powerful. You can do a lot of things. It is multimodal. You can create images with Nano Banana. You can do deep research, guided learning. By the way, I am using a Spanish interface because Spanish is my mother tongue. But yeah, and by default it is selected the fastest mode that is not always the latest version. So you can choose use Gemini 3 Pro, that is the reasoning model, the latest reasoning model, or include you can even prove the Google AI Plus, like with more options, even something more developed, AIs for creating videos, for creating other kind of things, blah 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 blah. But well, this is like the mainstream web page, but something that is well known, that this is not a secret, and I'm not revealing a secret for you or something like that. No, this is well known for the developers. I will say the developers groups or whatever. For the developers, is really known that you are not going to use this, but this one. This is Google AI Studio. It's basically a place where you can prove everything that is developed, any AI that is developed by Google. This is like a playground, a sandbox where you can adjust even little aspects for each artificial intelligence, each model that you want to try these models for free, to maybe then develop some applications, some agents or whatever, to create advanced applications. That is why this platform, this environment is really different than I will say, the consumer's environment. This is the environment for developers, and as you can see, even when my mother tongue is Spanish and Gemini is written in Spanish here, Google AI Studio is in English by default. Yeah, it's only in English. So well, here you can use Nano Banana Pro, and all the models, as I said. But by default, you are going to find this, that is like the prompt place where you are going to write your prompts. But before writing a prompt, you should select the model that you want to use. By default is Gemini 3 Pro right now selected, because this is the last LMM. But if you click here, you're going to find that you can create images with Nano Banana Pro, or even use Nano Banana like Flash, or Gemini 2.5 Pro, something that you cannot use here. You cannot go to a past or a downgraded option. You cannot do that. But here, for example, for the developers, you can use versions that were used before, like are updated right now. Even you can select what you want to do. If you want to create images, it will only offer you Nano Banana or Image 4, or only the artificial intelligence created by Google to create images. If you want to create video, you can use VO2, audio, etc. But well, I will set all for use the latest LLM. If you are watching this video later, probably you are going to have access maybe in the future for more updated versions. But for today, 21 of November 2025, this is the latest version, Gemini 3 Pro. So yeah, basically you here write a prompt and it works exactly, well, not exactly, but really similar to most of the language model. I will show you some experiments. I will tell like this. Some experiments I have done with this. This is excellent for solving math problems or for solving proofs. So, for example, I don't need to directly write everything because Gemini 3 Pro recognizes really good. I think it's the best recognizing the text in an image. In this image is really clear, but for other examples, for example, let me check this experiment. Sometimes I even don't understand what the image say, and Gemini is able to understand. For example, let me check. For example, this I barely can understand some of the letters. For example, this I don't know what is this symbol that appears here. But Gemini is able to handle that, so it's really good. Obviously, more clear is the image, better it will be the result, but even, well, this is just an option. Well, what is different here? I mean, when you are using something like Gemini, or ChatGPT or whatever, when you want to ask for rethink about a response, an answer, or you want to edit a request, you find this and you can just add something to the prompt. So make it more pro, and you say update, and it will think and do everything from this step, and below everything it will be a new conversation from here, and it will do a new response, blah 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 blah. But with this option it will not work like this. When every time you are trying a new prompt, for example, summarize the learning first before run it. If you want to use some other model, for example, Gemini is a thinking model. As you can see, in the thinking level, you can select if you want a low level or a high level, but you cannot select if you want the model don't use the thinking process. But for example, if you want to use the previous version, you can see that, well, in Gemini 2.5 it's activated the thinking mode, but in Flash you can activate or deactivate the thinking mode. So for example, for summarize the learnings, I don't need a thinking mode, I need a fastest mode, so I just change the 3 to 2.5 Flash and deactivate the thinking mode, and I set run, and it will give me a fastest answer. So it's summarizing, blah blah. Okay, let's summarize, blah 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 blah. As you can see, it is not thinking, right? But well, let it finish the answer, because well, this was a really long conversation, so even summarizing it will take a long run. And as you can see, I have not a stop button. But well, what happens if I want to edit this? I can edit here, but if I edit this, it will not directly affect my conversation from here. I will say really short. If I edit this, it just modifies the conversation, but it will not run again. So what I need to do for run it again is to erase everything that he or it creates, and after that I can run again. I don't need to write a new prompt. It's just the last message. If I use a user message, so I just click run. But let's say that I want to change again to the lastest and the most thinking model. So I will select Gemini 3 Pro, select run, and now the model will take a time for thinking because I selected a thinking model. And remember that this is set in a height. I can even use Gemini 3 Pro in a level like low thinking, like it will be faster and it will still think, but it will not take so long for thinking. So maybe the responses, I mean, for summarizing, is not really a big difference if you are using high thinking mode, no thinking mode, or low thinking mode. But for the response was really short, as I asked. But for something really hard, like mathematical problems or chemistry problems or something like so high level, I recommend to use a thinking model with high or low. So remember, if you want to edit something, you need to erase. Why you need to erase all the things that you have processed with this? Because this model is made to recognize not only all the inputs that the user have made, but all the inputs that the model itself had created. Because as I said, you can here combine different models, right? Like Gemini 3, Gemini 2. You can even ask, please, to Nano Banana, you can even ask, please do an image that can explain this concept, this mathematical concept in a graph, and you are going to get that. So you are going to get different things playing with this, and it is for free. Why Google do this for free instead of if that some of those options are in plus here? Well, Google do this because this is for developers. Remember that this is created for the developers can try different previews of applications. For example, as you can say, you have here the API key, because this is for people who develop some environments based on these models. So the idea is the developers can try the model before to use this, to try what is the best option for them, if they prefer some model that reasoning for longer or shorter or what. Indeed, you can have this for each model. You have fine-tune options. So this is for developers. If you are a developer, you are going to understand what are all these options. But for standard users, this is not needed. I mean, probably the most that you are going to use is if you want the thinking model, the thinking level is high or low. But this usually you don't need to use all this. Maybe if you need to check a URL, maybe you can activate or deactivate this. Well, but I will not focus so much on this because this video is not made for advanced users or for developers. It's made for consumers. But yeah, it's a bit different. about you need to edit, you need to delete, you can even branch to a secondary conversation, to create like a secondary conversation or whatever. It's a bit different than use some other consumer models like this option, like the official Gemini, or to use ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever. It's different in that it's a bit more steps, more complicated to erase and edit and blah blah blah. But really, this open a lot of options that I'm not showing here, but in this video. But you can really do really interesting experiments here. Oh, there is something really special that Gemini can do, and this playground can do, and I forgot to mention, and is that you can upload as many resources that you want, obviously if they are in the admitted type of file, you know, in the admitted format, like PDF, PNG, JPG, well, whatever. But the question is, sometimes you have this kind of documents that they are really difficult to identify the text, or even they have this kind of annotations or whatever. Well, as I say, Gemini is the best for recognizing text. If I upload this document to, for example, DeepSeek, it will recognize the letters maybe in Spanish and obviously in Chinese, or in Latin or Greek or whatever language you are going to use, but it is more difficult for it to understand the graphics. DeepSeek is really bad in understanding graphics. It will only take the text and it only use text. But and as you can see, this is a book, for example. This is a book with a lot of things explaining about batteries and a lot of chemical reactions and blah blah blah, and it's 38 pages. I even have tried with hundreds of pages. But the special about this is, even if you upload this, for example, to ChatGPT, you only can use in the free version maybe 2 or 3 of these documents. But with AI Studio, you can directly upload this document here, like just doing this, and it will use all the information. It will analyze the complete text with all the images and everything. Look, it is extracting right now, and with it finished, it will understand the whole context about this. The limit is not about how many documents you upload. You can even upload this and start asking questions about this, and then upload other documents like the same, and blah blah blah. The important is how many tokens are you using in the conversation. That is the real limit, and it will depend about how many tokens that model that you are using can handle. If the model cannot handle more than these tokens, you are going to get a failure. But for example, for this with all the graphics, everything analyzed, it is 21,000 tokens about. So let's ask this. And let's press Control and enter, and it will analyze everything, and well, it will think, hi, because I select this, but you know, I can change the model and maybe change that. The only thing that you need to consider is that you need to use a model that supports the amount of tokens, and obviously, meanwhile the model is thinking, the amount of tokens is going up and up and up, and obviously each letter in the answer will add more tokens. That is why it is updating all the time. But this is really incredible for summarizing or for work for huge information, even if they are not plain text, even if it needs to work with OCR to extract everything. And well, I will not check if this is completely perfect, but I know it is because I have worked with this text before, even with more deep questions. I just wanted to show you this, how you can add much documents you want at the same time, and it will not be a problem for Gemini to handle that. Meanwhile, it is in supported formats. That's why I don't select doc or PowerPoint here. But meanwhile, you are working in PDF or with the standard images, you can add as much as you want and make questions or ask questions about this, because it will handle all the information about this at the same time. I will not run anything here because I don't want to reveal confidential information, but I just want to show how it really can handle a lot of documents at the same time, and it is no problem. Meanwhile, you don't overpass the millions of tokens that are admitted by Gemini 3 Pro or the model you are using. But well, for consumer, you just need to know that you can use whatever model that you want, even the latest, and usually use, I mean, I have always used this for free, never have been blocked about using this, no matter how many times I tried the latest model. So for now it is working, and I hope it continues working like this. So yeah, the only that you need to do is obviously create a Google account as a developer in aistudio.google.com, and that's all, and then you can use all these options. So that's all. I hope this was useful for you. Yeah, I hope if you like it, let me know.